Alright, we've got a cooktop here. So the customer is complaining that one of the burners is not heating whatsoever. So first thing first, we're gonna go ahead and connect the connections, and we're gonna run each burner separately, and we're gonna find which burner is not working properly and maybe replace it. Alright, so we're gonna have to connect each connector to the right connection in the oven, because this cooktop does not work by itself. It works in a pair with an oven. So let's go ahead and connect it. Black connector to the black, white to the white, green to the green, blue to the blue, and red to the red. Make sure you don't forget your ground connection so you don't electrocute yourself by accident. Let's go ahead and test each element. So I'm gonna turn on element number 1, element number 2, element number 3, element number 4. So now we're gonna give it time to heat up. So when the element is working properly, it's turning red, as you can see. So far it seems like 3 elements far away from me are heating up, but the element which is the biggest one closer to me is not heating up whatsoever. You can even put your hand above it and test the heat, but this one is definitely at fault. So we're gonna go ahead and inspect it further. Alright, in order to get to that element, we're gonna have to take the whole cooktop, flip it, and then unscrew all the screws around holding the glass top together so we can get to it. So safety first, let's go ahead and disconnect all the power connections and control connections off from the cooktop so we can go ahead and take it apart and not be afraid of being electrocuted. It doesn't feel nice to be electrocuted by 120 volts, and the story is much different when you get electrocuted by 240 volts. So guys, whenever working with high voltage appliances, make sure you disconnect the power first before working with it. So here are the most common tools we'll need for our repair. It's definitely a multimeter, a drill, a pair of pliers, a flat screwdriver, construction knife, and different bit sizes. First things first, we're gonna create a support for our glass cooktop so it doesn't crack while we're working on the bottom of it. So I'm gonna grab a pair of gloves, a construction knife, and a styrofoam, and I'm just gonna cut it into pieces so whenever I put the glass on top of it, it sits safely on it and doesn't crack from any pressure I will be applying to fix it. So I'll simply use the construction knife to separate the 2 foam pieces between each other, and I'll break them apart once the cut is deep enough. Just like so. And now we have a support. Now you may not be afraid to work on this cooktop, just place the glass facing down. Don't worry, it's safe to work on it now. Now all we have to do is separate the metal body from the glass cooktop. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to remove all the screws around the metal body, then flip the cooktop again and separate the glass top away from the metal body. Alright, grab the proper bit size, here it's star, and let's go ahead and remove all the screws around. Now all you have to do is flip it around like that and pull on the glass top until you remove it. Alright, this is our big element that caused all the issues, and as you guys can see, it's using a little bit different structure from the rest of the elements, so it seems like this element was replaced in the past. So while inspecting, just keep that in mind so we can find any clues related to the previous repair. So now all you have to do is check all the connections and all the wires to make sure that nothing is burned and everything is connected properly. After you do the diagnostic, let's inspect the actual element and make sure that it's not burned. Now simply use the screwdriver as your guide and follow the line and make sure the line is not interrupted anywhere. Unfortunately, so far I did not find any issues, so let's continue our investigation. Maybe we find something else. Oh, look at that wire. You see, it's burnt a bit here. So definitely maybe an issue here. So it seems like the wire was sitting too close to the connection and it overheated and burned it at some point. So maybe that's the reason why the element is not getting power. So in order to test that connection, all we have to do is disconnect it from the actual radiant heater. Now just follow the line, find it where it's coming out from the connector, and just test it for continuity. Seems like it doesn't have a proper continuity even though my multimeter is working correctly. Let's go ahead and remove the actual wire from the system. So I'm gonna unscrew it at the end of the connector, as well as I'm gonna pull it out from the cooktop wire connectors. So you can see it burned pretty bad, so this thing is garbage now. Alright guys, I found a wire laying around the shop, so let's make sure that the wire is intact and is not damaged anywhere like a previous wire. I also went ahead and installed the actual connector for the radiant heater and the connector itself. Let's go ahead and install it. So in order to push our new wire through the wire connector, we're gonna have to unscrew the little assembly on the bottom. It's a plastic assembly that holds all the wires together and keeps them safe. So go ahead and unscrew the two screws, holding it back in. Now all we have to do is just fish the wire through that connector and pull it out from the other side. Okay, I caught the wire from the other side, now pull it out, and perfect, it's ready to connect. Alright, now let's make sure that we connect all the connectors properly, as well as we secure all the wires back in together using zip ties, and make sure again that the wires are not touching any spots that might get hot and burn them off in the future. So where it burned off right here, I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't ever happen again by securing it properly. So go ahead and grab a zip tie and secure your wires. Make sure to keep your wire work clean at all the times so things like this don't happen in the future. Now all we have to do is connect the other side of the wire back into the original connector so it feeds power properly. So go ahead, grab a small screwdriver and secure it back in place. Now back to the golden rule, make sure to keep all your wiring work clean, so don't be afraid to use 1 or 2 extra zip ties to make sure your work is clean. Okay, now let's go ahead and secure our plastic assembly on the bottom of the cooktop that holds all the wires back in. Feels like something fall off in the back. Don't worry, it's not a big issue. It's not gonna be any problems. So all you gotta do is put it back the way it was. Never panic, take control of the situation. Now all we have to do is line up the actual bracket to already existing holes in the element and just put it on top of it and make sure it sits tight. Perfect, like so. Now it sits the way it was sitting before. Now make sure to check all the wiring work and make sure none of the wires are sticking out or not where they're supposed to be. You don't want to come back to doing the same thing a month or a couple of months later. So make sure again to keep all the wires out of the heating element areas. Perfect. Now simply follow the reverse steps and connect the glass cooktop back on top of the metal body and line it up properly. Now flip the cooktop once again, but be careful to hold two parts together so it doesn't fall off, and just secure all the remaining screws around to make sure that it sits properly and doesn't go anywhere. Now it's the most exciting time and maybe a bit nerve-wracking, so we're gonna connect the power to the unit once again and we're gonna run it and make sure that the issue is resolved. And don't forget your ground wire. Actually, never ever forget about it. Trust me. Alright, let's go ahead and power up the unit. The switch is already in an on position, and let's give it time to heat up, and we're gonna make sure that it gets hot by putting our hand above it. I can already see visually it got hot because it turned red, but just in case, I'm gonna make sure, yeah, it's hot. Good to go.
If you're still experiencing any other issues with your appliance, don't hesitate and call us at 1-866-244-6051. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you could leave a like, comment, as well as share the video, we would greatly appreciate it. Stay in touch for more videos and let us know if you want something specific.